to welcome everyone here to today's event. My name is Pharmacist Obayomi Emmanuel. I am the President General Secretary of PSN-YPG Lagos. Before we continue, I would like to call Pharmacist Awoniga to give us a brief prayer. Thank you. Please let's give a round of applause.
Shall we pray? I hope you can hear me. All right. Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. Thank you for bringing us safely here. Thank you for the organization of the program. Thank you for all you have in store for us. We pray that everything will go according to your will in the name of Jesus. And we pray that as we leave today, that we will live well and energized to go and make impact in society. In Jesus' mighty name we are praying. Amen.
Thank you very much. All right. I'm sure this is like the first event YPG is having physical events this year. We all know the COVID pandemic has made us go virtual to most of our events. So I want you to look around, any face that you are just seeing for the first time this year, just give the person Happy New Year. Just do that, Happy New Year. I don't know if yes, because it's like a new year to us. You're welcome. So moving on to the program of the event, I would like to call on the Lagos State Coordinator, PSN-YPG Lagos, Pharmacist Ogunzimika, to give a welcome address. Please let's.
It's good to see you. Happy New Year. I know we tried meeting in February because of coronavirus. Okay, so it's really good to see you all. I'm happy to have everyone here. And we're still looking forward to seeing some other people. So yes, today this is our event to mark the World Pharmacists Day. But unlike the usual things we do, where we have outward facing events, we decided to do something inward facing now. So it's not enough for us every time, we just do outreaches, we do donations and all of those things. This time around, we want to equip ourselves with skills that we need to be social entrepreneurs. The idea is you're passionate about public health, you're passionate about mother and child health. How do you monetize that? While you're doing good to the community, how do you get resources for yourself too? So that's what we're trying to do. And luckily for us, we are partnering with one of the biggest organizations in this area, partnering with Leap Africa to make this happen. So we have a facilitator from Leap Africa in our midst. Thank you very much. So trust me, like we promised at the beginning of the administration, we're not doing small things. I'm sure Corona wanted to dull our shine, but we're not doing small things. This is just the beginning. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Thomas. As we all know, this event is also sponsored by Shalina Healthcare. I will give Shalina a round of applause. We are opportunity to have the managing director of Shalina Healthcare. And we will welcome address. Can we give a round of applause for this? Okay. I was told that today. So while we wait, I have some questions I want to ask. I have gifts to give away. So you guys should be attentive. So my first thing is everybody should start with the first. Now so nobody will come and ask. So I want someone to mention. I know we still explore it, so I'm going to mention this grant of Shalina Healthcare. Apart from this is not part of their program. Apart from this, I'm going to use don't worry, don't worry. I'm going to use I think that the next question I want to ask is who can mention, the PSN-YPG is made up of the Executive Council Committee. Yes, so I want somebody, this time no expo, I'm going to look around, nobody's going to tell anybody anything, especially coordinators. Okay, I'll put my question for the managing director for China. Let's welcome Mr. Sonat.
A very good morning to all of you. I think I am audible, right?
Yes.
I don't need. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I'll just pull down my mask. I see very happy young faces. So all of you are enjoying life. Yeah? Good. I work for Sharika. Okay, and these are my colleagues, and we are extremely happy and proud. Okay, to host you for today's event. And I believe when my colleague Foley takes a small session with you to introduce EboGap and to talk about it, he's going to talk about a little about Shalina as well. We are a company that has been in existence for 35 years. We are there in approximately 10 countries in Africa, right? We are an African multinational. And we have our manufacturing facilities so far in India and China. But it gives me a lot of pride to say that as I speak to you, the first factory of Shalina is coming up right half an hour distance from here on the expressway. And if things go well, by the grace of God, we should be up and running with the plant by March 2021. And this will be the first Shalina factory in Africa. Have been a company over the last couple of years. We tried to engage with the pharmacist community very closely. And how many of you are aware of this program called SITA by Shalina? Can you raise your hand? Okay, so no problem. I'm sure once a year or two more goes by, everybody in this room should be knowing about what SITA is. It's an initiative by Shalina wherein we go to. It has been this. We have completed 2 years. The first year we went to 3 universities of pharmacists, colleges. Yeah. Okay. So you want me to stand here? Okay. Okay. Thank you. And sorry, where was I? Okay. So SITA, we started in the year 1 with 3 universities, and last year we expanded it to 5 universities. Had things gone as per plan this year, we might have had expanded it to 7. So you can easily understand the scale at which we want to reach out to the new budding talents in the field of pharmacology in this country. And we are a company that are willing to invest in talent as well as in manufacturing and in brands in this country. Okay, so last but not the least, thank you so much for your time to come for this occasion, and we are very happy to host you. Okay, and I believe this is not the last time we are seeing each other. We definitely would be seeing each other much more in the coming days. Okay, give my regards to everyone in your family. Stay safe. These are tough times. Okay, and you need to take care of yourself as well as your loved ones. Right? So all the best for the rest of the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Can we give him a hand? So much. Okay, I think before you came, I was saying something about my personal of the for later. For later, I people need to take this what kind of question I'm about to ask. And so I'll change my question. On my people is that and you cannot complete. You cannot complete. So moving on to what we have on the agenda, we have the moderator from Africa. Yes, so moving on to the workshop by Africa. But before I introduce the moderator, I would like to call on Pharmacists Fashion just to give us a roundup of what we expect from this workshop, just to make our minds prepared for this workshop. So please let's welcome Pharmacists Fashion.
Hi everyone. I'm so happy to see everyone here today. So for today's workshop, we're talking to you about how to become a successful social entrepreneur. So social entrepreneurship is something that even world of organizations acknowledge social entrepreneurs to solve global health challenges. So it's something that if you're so interested in global health and at the same time you want to be able to make some money out of it when you're ready. So social entrepreneurship allows you to make an impact in the community at the same time earn a living, right? So I can continue to further your passion on and on. And today, thanks to PSN-YPG and our community members and everyone, we're able to bring this to young pharmacists so that they can explore their passion beyond their wildness imagination and do so well in transforming the world. At the same time, meeting up with world pharmacists. So welcome to today's workshop. I'm so glad to have you here. I'm so glad to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now, please, I would like to introduce the moderator as he comes on to take over for the workshop. Please let's welcome Mr. Olamide Adeyemi.
All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning. All right, good morning, everyone. How are you doing this morning? Okay, looks like I have a mix. What I can read from this person is okay, all right. You expect one big guy, right? All right, don't worry. Sleeping Africa is actually it's a youth focus and youth thing. So I think the oldest on the team is just about 10. So you can imagine the very experience. But again, don't just make a container. Do you understand? Yeah, we'll have. I trust that we'll have a very great time. All right, so I want everybody to get there. All right. Okay, so I want to do something. We call it the game of 7. How many of you have heard about the game of 7? Okay, simple. The game of 7 basically means we are going to recite 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to infinity. But you don't mention the number 7. You don't mention the multiple of 7. You don't mention the number of 7. Pharmacists are usually smart. So it's simple. You don't mention 7. You don't mention the multiple of 7. You don't mention the number of 7. So it means you don't mention 7. You don't mention 7 itself. You don't mention 21 is the multiple of 7. All right. So what happens is when you get to a multiple of 7, you don't say. That makes sense. That makes sense. You know the difference. All right. So let me do a test run with my uncle. So it's simple. I want you to watch. And please, I hope there will be a gift for you. So I start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Exactly. Okay. So that's how it works. So rather than mention 7 or you want to 7, you just pick 1. And because of the test row, we are doing smooth. So you work on it. So we'll start this way. We'll go this row, this row. I don't know if we'll do this way. I'm looking at my thing. Whatever. So let's start. Let me start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So start over. You snooze, you sit. Because basically, the essence of the game is to get you to be alert, to get you to. I'm sure you want the most thinking in this work, right? I think I'm you have this okay, 1 plus 2 plus 3 is equal to. Exactly. So it's just basically stirring up that aspect. So I'll start now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. You have to stay. All right, that's fine. So we start with you. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Us. Which one? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16. So quickly. 3, 6. What's right? One, 2, 3, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 16. She said 14. That's 17, right? All right. Come on. Just Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 4, 5, 6,
8, 9,
10.
11,
12. Continue. 12, 16, 18, 19,
20,
20. Okay, so you know me as 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Okay, so with you. You now. You. 5. No, you. Okay, so with you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. So next. All right. 1, 2, 3. 4. All right. 3, 4,
5, 6, 8,
9, 10.
12,
13. 17. So 50. 1, 2, 4, 6,
7,
9, 7. The question is so much more clear. Okay. How we get this here? 1, 2,
3, 4, 5,
6,
8,
9,
10,
11,
12,
13.
15, 16, 18,
20. That's how we have 2, 4,
5,
6,
9,
10,
11,
12,
15,
16,
18,
20, 11, 13, 17. Wow. He's like a okay. Last one started. Let's see. 3, 4, 5, 10, 12, 7. Okay. No, I like the way it's started this way. 1, 2,
3, 4, 5, 6,
8,
9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
so we start with 2, 5, 10. Wow. Okay. When you videos. Okay. I didn't believe it. Okay. All right. So start. You go this way.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9,
Okay, so we have two people. So now, no snoozing, no thinking about it, no processing. Just I'm rooting for you. Team what? Yes, nation. Okay. So what team is this? What's the name? Mary Jane. Okay. Amara. So please put it up for Team Mary Jane. Okay, another one from Team Amara. All right. So we start with you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
All right. So good morning once again. This. Okay. Okay. All right. So good morning once again. I hope that was a good one. Well, guys, here's for my answer. Let's go back at it. Okay, so this morning we'll be having a conversation around social innovation and entrepreneurship. And do I have a cookie? Someone. Okay, so we're having a conversation around social innovation and social entrepreneurship. And there's a reason why we are bringing in the concept. I know, like the president, I don't know if it's president, right? Is it president or chairman? That's the person. What's her name?
State coordinator.
Okay, state coordinator. That was well. So, like the state coordinator mentioned, the focus of this morning's conversation is social entrepreneurship. But at the moment in the office, at Youth Africa, we are preparing for the social innovators program and awards. And one of my responsibilities in that process, or in the journey to that ceremony or that event, is to identify social innovators across West Africa. We are awarding about 30 of them. And that was a very insightful journey for me because a whole lot of things are being done. And I even like the way the leaders crafted something. They said, monetizing your passion, the journey to becoming a successful social entrepreneur. But what I found out that a lot of people do as social entrepreneurship today is what we call NGO, right? You have a passion, you are passionate about people, you see a problem, people are hungry, then you just do what? Cook, and then get the food to them and all that. But again, in the course of our conversation today, we would delve into some of those intricacies and then come to some conclusions. And I'm sure, I hope we'll be okay. Okay, so before we go into what I plan to talk about, I want just one or two people to tell me what would be a good or great session. Okay, so what would be a great session for you? What would meet your expectations? Yeah, by a show of hands, you have the floor. What's your expectation? If you don't have any expectation, you can speak, but what exactly do you expect from this session? What is that thing you're looking out for? What's that thing you want to hear, you want to see, you want to know after this session? Okay, so I have 3 hands up. I'll just take it. Please, while speaking, just introduce yourself with your first name. Sir. maybe before the end of the class, I need to get everybody. Okay, so let me start. Oh, you okay.
I think it's Emmanuel.
Okay, Emmanuel.
I was expecting that after this program, and I go out, anything I'm talking to anybody, I'm thinking money wise.
Okay.
That anything I'm talking to, I'm thinking
Speaking about how good
how to get
everybody.
money.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. I like your candid expression. Thank you. Your dreams are valid, right? Okay, so the next person. All right.
Okay, my name is Oluwabi. Well, at the end of this, I actually want to know what social entrepreneurship really is. So I'm not sure I really know what it is. So I want to know what it means and the issue.
Thank you so much, Oluwabi and Emmanuel. So Emmanuel says at the end of this session, he wants to be able to convert every conversation to money. That's right. Where you told me you have an edit, but I'm thinking about how I make money from it. Right? And Oluwabi is saying, social entrepreneurship is something that probably has heard. However, we would like to have a deeper understanding in this session. And this concerns are these questions about. So in the course of this session, I hope to bring together all of your expectations within these objectives. So it says to understand social innovation as a concept. Now, social innovation as a concept, again, we'll see it in the process of understanding social entrepreneurship. Okay, it's fine, right? Yeah. Okay, so I was saying that understanding social innovation as a concept, and like I said, we'll get into it. We'll get into it subsequently. The next thing is to learn the concept of social entrepreneurship and ways to evolve social ideas to develop social enterprises. So it's one thing to notice a problem in your community. We'll even probably explain further what social issues are and all of that. But it's another thing to evolve that idea into an enterprise, into something that can generate money, either in form of residual income or active income. And then the final thing is to understand the use of human capital design to deploy innovative solutions to social problems. Forget the grammar. Simple is basically to try your hands on the social entrepreneurship business canvas. How many of us have heard or seen or used the business model canvas before? Okay, so you're introduced to it today. So there's something called the business model canvas. Basically, it's like a summary of a business plan, right? That helps you to identify what your value proposition is as an organization, what your key activities are, your cost areas, and how you eventually will make money while delivering that value. But again, we'll get into it as we move on. So what is social innovation or entrepreneurship? I just want to hear your thoughts. One or two people. What do you think is social entrepreneurship? What do you think is social innovation? Is there any difference? If there is, what are they? Or if there are, what are they? If there is none, what is it? So, yeah. This guy should not be quiet on you. Okay, he's the first name. So Emmanuel and Oluwabi.
I am
Abdulaziz.
Social innovation, I think I will just maybe try to break down the words. Social is actually society. The innovation is bringing out something new, entirely new. And there's hardly the way of bringing out, there's hardly anything new that will not be able to generate an income, so to speak. Now, entrepreneurship is, I would say, it's a way of bringing resources together to create wealth. So if you are doing social entrepreneurship, so you are bringing probably something about society together to create wealth. The innovation is, social innovation is bringing out something new in society. Well, you have to return this to the entrepreneurship part, maybe create wealth. So now, social innovation is bringing out something new in society. Social entrepreneurship is that's something new you have brought out in order to create wealth.
It's even like a business for extra shit. Because within the first social innovation, the man said, our first start with social. What is social? What is innovation? What is entrepreneurship? Then what is social innovation? Then what is social entrepreneurship? Then what is social innovation and entrepreneurship? Please do it together. All right. So because of time, I'll just move on quickly, right? I'm taking a course at the moment with it's an institute called Academia Institute, USA, and it's like a mini MBA on business innovation and sustainability. And one of the conversations that we had in that course is differentiating between inventions and innovation. A case study was done, more like a trend analysis of the world since the days of the Pluto, the Plato, the Socrates, and all that, up till this 2020 or this 21st century as it were. And one of the things that came out of that conversation is until the late until the 1800s, that's the 19th century and all that, what the world experienced in massive expression, the inventions, not necessarily innovation. So, for instance, the E is equal to MC squared, all of those formulas, all of those light waves formulas and all of that, all of those things were invented. You have those scientists thinking of a lot of things and all that, and they were doing a lot of things. But the challenge with that generation is that the economic value that was accrued to that invention did not tally with the quality of knowledge that was being generated. Do you understand? So, for instance, I found the cure of maybe something. Yeah, it becomes an invention. It becomes something that has never happened, like a novel idea, a novel solution. But it necessarily does not translate into any socioeconomic development. It doesn't. You find some of those scientists still being poor in that sense. They were not necessarily big guys. But what happened at the advent of the 19th century to the 21st century is that innovation took over. And innovation is basically putting a market value to a novel idea. So bringing it into the concept of social, like Abdulaziz has obviously just broken down for us. Thank God he's never given us the root word of social and the root word of innovation, right? I just say innovation is from inno. You know, it don't be like that. But yeah. So basically, innovation stems from the understanding that there is something new, right? You agree? Novelty. There is a new solution. And much more, like I'm explaining now, how it differs from invention is that it has some economic value to it. Or to an extent, you can attach some economic value to it. So people can consider that solution valuable and pay for it. Because eventually, why we pay for things is because it's an exchange of value, right? I feel this shirt would cover my nakedness or something. And because of that, I feel it's worth a price that I pay for it and get it, right? The same thing, getting here, you probably have to pay, if you didn't drive here, you probably have to pay maybe your Uber or whatever means you used to get here. That was because he exchanged the value that you considered, or you exchanged something that you considered valuable. But before we go into the what of social innovation, let's just even have a conversation around the why. Can this be louder? Can this be louder? Is it possible?
Yeah, it's possible.
Okay, you need it. Can you get clear?
U.S. states and 4 countries are.
Okay. So basically, one see a video. I want to pay attention. One reason why I like this case study is because maybe it's not directly related to pharmacy or pharmacology, but they have a lot of it links so much with medicine. So let's watch.
The first time, initially they're confused, but slowly they'll start realizing that this is how it's meant to be. 3 years ago, I learned that there are 13 million children around the world who need glasses but cannot afford them. So I naively put a donation box in my optometrist's office. Within 2 weeks, we had collected more than 30 pairs of glasses. And simple math told me that just that strategy, we could help a lot more people. I just had to get more boxes out there. But I needed doctors to take us seriously. So I made videos, developed a website, and made flyers to recruit new doctors. Today, we're in 14 US states and 4 countries around the world. And as a result of technology and social media, we've been able to reach people in all of these places. Now today, I communicate with doctors out in the field, track shipments, and plan eye clinics in other nations. And Intel technology helped with all that. But all of this didn't start in my optometrist's office. A few years ago, I broke my glasses doing Taekwondo and had to go to school without them for about a week. And it's not just that I couldn't see without my glasses, it's I couldn't concentrate. I was unable to learn. It made me wonder if I was dealing with this for just 1 week. How many kids deal with this for their entire lives? It turns out, breaking my glasses finally allowed me to see the world clearly.
All right. So, in case for one reason you didn't hear what the video said properly, basically, now the story of a young teenager. His name is Yash, and he had an experience. Went to school one day. Went for Taekwondo training one day, and in the process, his glasses got broken, and he had to sort of do without his glasses for about a week. But what happened during that process was, when he was trying to write, he couldn't see clearly, and it obviously affected his concentration. I sort of understand what he went through. You understand? It affected his concentration and all that. And the next question, the next thought that came to me is, what about several or millions of children who also have the same issue but don't have access to glasses? And then he started by just saying, you know what, donate your used glasses, and then began to have conversations with doctors and basically evolved that into a social enterprise where young people across the world, particularly in rural areas, are given that opportunity to have a better view of the world and all that. And the implications of that are far-reaching, right? From as low as you thinking that the child is a non-entity, to you know, if you are from a kind of home like that, like your back home, where they tell you, we are movement, and you're like, you can't see it. And they already begin to ask you that, are you blind? And all of those things.
But these are issues that children go through because they don't even understand what they are going through. They don't understand that. And long story cut short, he was able to evolve that, and he has multiple partners around the world. He already mentioned at that time, he was present in 4 countries and 14 states in the US. And obviously, he has grown beyond that. Now, that's sort of an example of social innovation. So, my question, the first question here is, do you think he had all the resources needed for him to start his initiative? Anyone can speak to that. What do you think about? What do you think about him starting? What do you think about him starting? What were the? Yeah. Do you think he had all the resources? Do you think it was because he was boxed up? Yeah, thank you. Good morning. Around the gate. Okay. He had a drive. So he had a drive. He had a vision. He had a what? A vision and a drive. All right, great. Thank you. Thank you. Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts? What do you think? What do you think about the situation? I just want us to sort of zoom back, assume you're in his seat. Yeah, thank you. Emmanuel.
So I think he identified the problem. So
Okay.
first. Now, first, needed a solution.
Yeah, thanks so much, Emmanuel. So Emmanuel says he saw a problem. I would sort of take it for that he experienced the problem, right? Because this was something that was existing, but he got into the reality and was like, oh, so there is a world like this, and that happened. Okay, so what do you think motivated him to start his initiative? Was it money, or the fame, or the passion to change the world? This way is few people are saying passion under their breath because money was the need. Particularly like Emmanuel who wants to leave this meeting and every conversation is money. But what really inspired? And there is no right or wrong answer, right? You don't have to follow the crowd. If you have a solid point to say it was money, yeah, it's fine. But why do you think it inspired you? Was it money? Was it fame? Or was it a passion to change the world?
For him, it was passion.
Okay. For him, it was passion. Okay. All right. Fine. Thank you. So basically, the reality of the world that we live in is. Apologies. I just remember the statements that used to be made in my hostel while I was in school. And part of it was Shogun. Sorry. For those who don't understand Yoruba, it's not, I'm trying not to be unprofessional. But basically what I was trying to say is that statement is a statement that means is life war. But it doesn't carry it's not the same density. Life war. What's that? Who does that? All right. But basically, that's just an expression that says that basically is life full of crisis and all that. But the reality is that life is full of crisis. We are in a myriad of challenges. The plethora of challenges we are faced with every day. They are limitless, I tell you. And the challenge with this is, like one of my colleagues used to say, is that we are faced with wicked problems. Wicked problems, trust me. When we look at, even from a political perspective, we'll see that, okay, just take the NLC, fuel hike, electricity tariff hike. I always try to avoid politics in my classes. God will help me. Yeah, the fuel and all of those things. And then also I'm doing conversations with the federal government and all that. The reality is, from the NLC, they are making sense. Right? We increased minimum wage to 30K, and then now everything is increased. Obviously, the standard of living has not changed. It has not even dropped. Right? I'm earning more, but I'm spending more. So eventually, I'm not necessarily living well. However, the government is saying this money, for instance, even international bodies are putting them under pressure to say, you know what, we can't borrow the money. If you keep using that money to fund subsidy, if you keep using it to, because it's not generating any income. The fear is that if you keep borrowing this money, the money will never come back because it's not being productive. So now the country is, the government, they are in the mix that, okay, so do we satisfy our citizen or position the nation for and all of those things? But that's even from a political angle, one of education. The question I'm going to ask you, I just want to ask that question. We are in the, many of us are all over the pharmacists. Do we have problems in the health care system in Nigeria? Obviously. I like Africa. You know what? There are some expressions that you don't have to say. When I said is there problem, I just said, you don't have to hear. But obviously, you agree with me that the problems are much. Now, the question is, what exactly can be done to fix that? Like, what is that thing that just do? And then our public health. Joseph, let's calm down. Eh? Let's be calm down. Don't tell me what the problem is. Just tell me that things you do. Like, let's just, we talk about this thing. Have you seen people in newspaper? This is the real Nigeria. Nigeria was streets. Because they understand everything. But I notice, what are those two things? Or what is that one thing that you just, that silver bullet, you just use to hit? So just silver bullet. So even if that, you mean that if they have that conversation, they will get to that one solution. That's so weird. All right, thank you so much, Joseph. All right. The name.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Adia. The solution would be for me is that every health professional that has been established by a law and under a law should carry out functions. So implementations, not for policy making. So implementations of those functions, will be a solution for me. So if you are a pharmacist, you have some, functions under the law, and then implementing that will give, the pharmacy profession a face. And then second, for those, that's an unbiased implementation. And then for those who are implementing it, a very good reward system should be done so that you have more people encouraged to do these things.
Thank you so much, Adia. Adia just spoke like she's in the front of the National Assembly. And they're interviewing her for the role of the Minister of Health in Nigeria. Correct. But what Adia said is very fantastic. But I'm just thinking about a health care system that will work without electricity. How possible is that? Or a healthcare system that will be top-notch with our educational system in its present state. Or a healthcare system that will be very okay, where death rates reduce drastically and all that, but our roads remain the way they are. Or our engineers, our mechanical engineers who are supposed to fabricate machines and all that. What they are doing is they are teaching in secondary school. Or they are working in labs. You're what? Okay, they say they're 7 weeks. It's interconnected. And that's why they are wicked problems. You know, it's like an eye drop. There's something, the principle of an eye drop. Is it an eye drop? That animal that when you cut one egg, 7 other eggs go. So it's like that. It's a wicked problem, eventually. And these are, so look at it from economy, you can begin to look at it from, there's a rich and poor gap, there's a racial strife, there's international and local drug trade, there is hand sales, there is growth, a lot of things from different angles and from different perspectives. The challenge we have, however, is many interventions are doing what this is doing. The problem is this big, but there's just one armor that's trying to scratch it on the surface. So we say the healthcare system is bad. You know, just increase the salaries of doctors and everything will be fine. Or the educational system is bad. No, just bribe us and this thing. Everybody will be alright. And all of that. And we can go on and on. But basically, social innovation is to bring us to that point where we can think of that, not necessarily silver bullets, but maybe a set of silver bullets that can help us to not necessarily solve this problem in their entirety, but to, like the professor explains it, he said, the society is already in a state of equilibrium. What social innovation is supposed to do is to move us from that state of equilibrium to another state of equilibrium. And what does that simply mean? It simply means that we've been at the point where education is poor, is bad. But can we come to a point where, yes, a lot of things are still not all working, but to an extent, everybody have access to quality education, for instance. And yes, we necessarily don't have all of our doctors maybe engaged. At least every citizen has access to primary health, if not even secondary health. That's what social, that's what the thinking is. That's thinking around social innovation. So why social innovation? Individuals and organizations have limited funding for social interventions. So the challenge again with many of these things is, with all of the things Adia you mentioned she would love to do, by the time budget comes in, I'm telling you, you will come back. Was it not Fashola that said in 6 months we'll fix power? But we're doing for 4 years. You see how power. So power is still, maybe it has improved significantly, but I don't think it was what the efficiency to be. So it basically means that there are a lot of restrictions and limitations in that process. Another thing is the world is rapidly changing. What the problem is to be, or what is the, so there is something called a root cause analysis, right? What you see is maybe poverty, or when you go to Makoko, what you say is problem in Makoko, people are poor. But why are they poor? Okay, somebody said ignorance. Why are they poor? They feel abandoned. Okay, why are they poor? Or why are they abandoned? They're poor. Okay, why are they illiterate? No funding. Okay, why is there no funding? They say they are mindset. They say they are lineage. Okay, what happened to their So I just say, no, now this is very interesting part. I did not say that anybody that is going through the issues that multiple people are going through is because they are living with God. Can you see? So you can see that even from person to person, the situations, the causes, the problems change. So it's not a one size fits all. You can't say there was poverty in this country, we solved it this way. Bring that idea, bring it into this place, and work. It doesn't really work out. So it's a very complex. You need to. The world is rapidly changing. The new problems are emerging every day. You know, for instance, the problem of teenagers today, the problem of teenagers 50 years ago. Teenagers 50 years ago did not have to add social media to their problem. I was watching a documentary on Netflix, Social Dilemma. I think it's a good documentary for you. It's a dialogue. Let me just stop there. But it's actually very insightful because it went to the core of saying that the fact that you designed it does not give you mastery over it. That's why it's really dicey. The guys that designed the like button on Facebook and all that, the fact that he knew how it was working, the algorithm behind it, did not make him have the mastery over something. I can choose to stay on social media and all that. It's a conversation for another day. But my point is, because of those changes, the nature of the problems are changing as well. The way people are learning now, there's a book by Carl Newport, Deep Work, right? Now, in that video, I was talking about how that in this generation, our attention span is not even a span anymore. It's not I don't know, it's not a snap or something. In a class of 15 minutes, you're bored, you have logged out. I just logged down, like, or let's go on your phone. What that guy say? Sure, that was so. And all that. And the truth is, now, this is now adding to the challenge of our educational system. Do you understand? So you can't just say the problem is this. During the pandemic, there was a new, I don't know if you know about Abraham Maslow's hierarchy. There's something called Abraham Maslow's hierarchy. And you're saying that the base of every man's need is food, clothing, and shelter, right? Yes. But research is showing now that it's more than that. In this generation, entertainment is not the only. I'm not joking. Entertainment, like people can literally go into depression without entertainment. People can literally commit suicide. Yes, this is not, what I'm saying is, you can find it out, like after this conversation. If it's not verified, I'll tell you as well. So, he's just showing that, now, in Abraham Maslow, or the people that existed when he postulated that theory, because the theory of Abraham Maslow is saying that for you to take a person to the peak of the pyramid, which is self-actualization, you have to meet those basic, go from the physiological to the safety, the love, care, affection, and then to the self-actualization. So, that for you to get to that point, you have to go through that point. So, if I'm going with that initial Abraham Maslow, and I just say, you have food, you have food, what's the name of your problem? And I do not recognize that being on Facebook is as important as having food to eat. It's funny, but that's the reality of it. And you know the interesting thing? That theory will shift in the next 5 years. That theory will not be the same for our kids. For instance, let me start another example. I was going to Simon Sinek. He's very profound. Now, as Simon Sinek was saying that a problem of these teenagers in this generation that we are not paying attention to is that, for instance, you observe teenagers easily ghost you. Do you observe? Easily ghost. So rather than have a tough conversation, we'll just go about it. Let me tell you what I used to do. I used to do just so that people don't come and meet me after they are slapped. So I used to do and nobody can see that. But really, it's also a problem that we are facing as a generation. We find very few people know how to negotiate, how to have tough conversation. Even when it comes to emotional issues, how to break up. It seems funny, but it's affecting us, and it definitely affects the way would a solution be designed to have impact on us. So, for instance, check many teenagers don't use their faces as profile pictures. If you were to have a Zoom call, the program I'm managing for you, it's called the Lead Me Self Mastery. It's an online course, and during that period, I usually have a live session with teenagers every week. Do you know that for 5 weeks I have live sessions with these guys? None of them turn on their videos. They will always tell you I'm not video ready. They will always tell you I'm not video ready. You know why? They can't face it. And if we check, they have a portal, an LMS portal. All of them that will put their profile picture, they're either using a cartoon or a painting or a picture that was not there as it looks normal, but again, it's going to affect the reality of their world. So the problems are changing. The people who they are changing. The society here has changed. And all that. Then increasing effectiveness and impact. Because again, the problem is running at a particular speed, and therefore the solution will catch up with it at that speed. And that's the reason for social innovation. So you see why we should work with social innovators. All right. So what is social innovation? It's simple. I think, when we were just saying this definition, I was like, okay, what is a definition from Stanford University? It says a novel solution to a social problem that is more effective, more efficient, more sustainable, or just than existing solutions for which the value created accrues primarily to society as a whole rather than to private individuals. The long and short of that statement is, for it to be an innovation, it must be better than an existing solution. If what exists at the moment, for instance, people are hungry, you cook jollof rice, you give party, you want to give them. That's a solution. They get on and they get filled. But is that solution? Now that's one. However, there is maybe a Lagos food bank is actually an SIP firm of Deep Africa. Who says, you know what? When you give them that food, that's just a meal. In about 3 hours, they are hungry again. What happens? Okay, so why don't we just package this food raw and provide every single thing that is needed and give it to them, so that even when I consume the first meal, I can prepare another one and eat it, right? That's more sustainable than just cooking the jollof rice and deploying it, right? However, another one is now saying, you know what? Let's even take it further. Would be to be all for, there are a lot of people that probably have used things or excess things and they just want to dump it to people, but they don't know what to do. Okay, so we that all guide to receive and distribute. So as a citizen, we have done that sensitization. But you know what? Whatever you need to just come to us and get it. That's another level. Another level is now saying that why are these people even hungry? Don't tell me because they're poor or they're rich. But why are these people really hungry? They are not employed, right? And because of that, they can't make money. Why are they unemployed? Is it because they have no jobs? Maybe not. Maybe because they don't have the skills that have the job. What if I train these people with that skill and they can create value and then they can make money and then they can fend for themselves? That's another level of sustainability. That's another level of innovation. Are you seeing what I'm saying? So the point is, for it to be innovative, it has to supersede the existing solution, right? And the value must not be to a person's pockets. That's why you can't call Facebook, for instance, social innovation. After watching that social dialogue, sort of have a soft skills. It's like social media. People who are addicted to YouTube. But that's just that. But really, the reason why is because the value of that platform is not to you. It's actually to Mark. I had it. One of the quotes in that documentary was, there are only two industries that call their customers users. So it's the drug industry and software. Don't call me a customer, call me a user. And he said the issue with, it looks like I'm anti-social media today. No, that's not the point. But my point is just that it has to accrue primarily to society. Does it mean you won't make money from it? Maybe no, that's not it. But it basically means that so I like to say that what makes social entrepreneurship, if we get into, different from just normal entrepreneurship, is that in social entrepreneurship, your goal is to impact society. In entrepreneurship, your goal is to maximize profit. You don't care. You like, maybe food not be balanced diet. You shall like it. But in social entrepreneurship, you're like, how can I make you like what will benefit you? So I think it's a more complex level of social. So requirements for social innovation, novelty. I think we've spoken more about that. Effectiveness, you need to work better than existing solution. Practicality, exactly. This practicality is very important because one of the things we were doing, I was talking about the SIP program we are doing. One of the things I observed is because of COVID, everybody is now doing tech and so like more software for learning, software for learning, software for learning. I'm not asking them, where do you want to deploy this learning? See in rural area, in one place in the state. One place. People don't even know that there's a phone that can connect. They don't even know 3G. We are getting our 5G in Lagos. It's 5G like something corona. People don't even know there's a 3G. So how do you expect that solution to be effective for them? Do you understand? So it must be effective considering the people you are interacting with and interfacing with. Then the next thing is it needs a social need that is highly useful and needed. And then finally, it's empowering, enhances society capacity to act collectively. It's that summary. So how does social innovation happen? There is a quote by about Einstein that says that if I was given 100 minutes or so to solve a problem, I'll spend 99 minutes understanding what problem. If I was given 100 minutes, that's 100 minutes to solve a problem, I'll spend 99 minutes understanding the problem. Many times the issue we have, and that for me, that's the basis of problem solving, the basis of social innovation. Even when you check design thinking, all of these things, that's where it starts from. What exactly do you want to solve? What exactly is that problem you want to solve? And it's important because you must put it in clear terms. If I ask you now that what problem, our coordinator mentioned that we are passionate people, but I tell you what exactly are you passionate about? Can you script it in a sentence? Anyone who is here can, maybe one or two people. Script your passion with regard to these social issues in a sentence. If you are made the president of Nigeria today, what is that singular problem to solve? Now, take notes. You can't tell me education, because education is not a problem. Do you understand? You can't tell me public health. Public health is not the problem. Public health is a subject per se. What exactly is the problem within the public health space that you want to solve? Because you can't just say access. In summary, I'm saying there has to be a smart, there has to be something primary that if you achieve it, you will know that you have achieved it in that sense. So who wants to help us? You don't have to get it figured out, but what is that problem you say you are passionate about within Nigeria, in Africa, across the world? You don't get limited to Nigeria. But I think Nigeria is a very big case study for any part of Africa. Trust me. Just Nigeria. Selah. So who wants to help us? One or two things. Again, no right or wrong answer. I know we are intellectuals here, so don't feel like anybody's getting to you. What's that problem you want to solve? That problem. And you think is your own, it's what your passion is, what your time is, what your drive. What would you say? All right, Abdullah, Aziz now. Right.
As far as Nigeria is concerned, I would say diversion of funds.
Diversion of funds. Yeah. Okay.
I don't want to say corruption.
That's always lie. But that funds issue. But even that fund issue, is even large. It's large. So, diversion of funds across all public sectors, or within private, personal, and all that. Or even development. Do you know? Because another very interesting story. One of the guys that was shortlisted for our social innovation, as a matter of fact, I was going to send him a congratulation email over the weekend. He did his due diligence and he came back. And the guy is just going about collecting money for projects and they're looking with them. So we do proposal, actually, want to do this, want to do this, want to do this, want to transform this. If you give us this money, we'll do A, B, C, D, F. Okay. And then we do due diligence. Yeah, that's the guy is give Pascal. Let's come and do this and do this. When you give you the money to do this, you don't say that you have done it. You have moved on to another level. Do you understand? So that's another level of diversion. You know that's why the federal government is saying also regulate NGOs. That is why they'll come up. Because you are pharmacists, you don't even follow anything. You should do, because I think it affected everyone else. My first degree was in food science and technology. It's not like all these things like, but I think it's just good to be aware of some of those things. So, thank you so much. The diversion of fund makes sense. But again, what's your scope? Is it public sector? Is it private sector? Is it all, which is valid? And then, what exactly will diversion of funds mean? Will it mean that when money is budgeted for something, and the exact amount in Naira and Kobo is used for that specific thing, or money is not diverted into something else? It's as it. Basically, you need to define it. So it says what needs changing. Is it a very big problem, and is it affecting most people in society? If you say you are doing a social innovation and it's only benefiting the rich, it's not a social innovation. All those people are doing waste trainer. It's not social innovation. Where you want to train your waste? Or are people affected by waste training? Imagine the social innovation. Imagine. So who is affected by this problem, right? So, and the reason why it looks like social innovation always affects poor people is because they're the majority. Nigeria is the world's poverty capital. Yes. I said, according to a report last year, by 2020, by 2025, if Nigeria continues at its pace, Nigeria and DR Congo will be going to 60% of the 60 or 70% of the world's forest. Nigeria and DR Congo, yeah, both Africa. And you know why it's very alarming? India used to be ahead of us. India used to be ahead of us. So it's a state of pisma. So that's why it looks like social innovation are always addressing the poor people. I spoke to my colleague one day while we were supposed to come back, and I said, many times, the problem we have sometimes in this country is you and I in this room, we think we're the majority. We think these are also on Facebook and Twitter who are doing the hashtags and trends. We think they're the majority, but we are not. We are not. Well, I think the population of social media and the active users is just about 20 million. Population of Nigeria is. Do you know that the population of the airline is not what determines the president to be? You recommend that? You used to see those when they are doing election, and they mention those KKK states. Those Kano, they will give you millions. Even those everybody that voted in the southwest, you bring them all together. So again, they are not the majority. They are not the majority. So we have that responsibility in that sense, or we need to begin to think of it. One of my colleagues will say that the reason why he doesn't vote, even though I don't share his ideology, he says the reason why he doesn't vote is either they make everybody vote by force, or they say only a few people to vote. Because eventually, when we vote, it's not. I don't want to talk politics too much today. But basically, it's process of just going through this process. Social innovation happens by identifying this need, looking at the niche, and all of those things. And it starts first with listening. Listening. Many times you think you know the problem, or you don't know the problem. And I'm going to give you, I think that should be the first time. There is a story of an organization. They were passionate about solving the problem of clean water in the community. I went to deep bore with the community. These people need water. These people need water. they need to debug. The ball will left. After commissioning, nobody got close to the ball. Because for the community, water is recognized from stream. Bringing it from borrow was anti-cultural. It reminds me also of a project I did when I was in school with an actor. And we went to a community and we noticed that the ashes is community. We found out that the virus and stuff was coming from their streams and their river bodies and all that. Let's not big balls so that they will not go there again and pick up it. But these guys are like, never done. Sorry. In English, it means if you try it. And what that means is because for them, a way of socializing or a way of building bond as a community is that people of going to the stream, meeting in the stream, washing together in the stream, having their baths in the stream, fetching water in the stream, and going back home. So when you do that at the borehole, you literally, if care is not taken, you deconstruct that society. And for them, that's a threat of their identity as a people. So many times you may think you have that, you know it all. I'm smart, I need to have that MIT. I've seen it happen in Kenya, it worked, and all of those things. But really, it doesn't always work like that. So it always starts from what? Listening. And in that listening, you get what? Understanding that gives some revelation in that sense. So that's the process of social innovation. Nothing so difficult or different from what we have been speaking about this morning. Start with opportunities and challenges. You identify an opportunity or you identify a problem, right? And then that goes into generating ideas. So how can I solve this problem? So for instance, like Abdulaziz that says diversion of funds. So the question is, the best way to solve that problem will it be awareness? Maybe making the entire society aware that this is what the project is. So when people are doing this, they should be doing this. And when people are doing this, they should be doing this and all that. So or maybe educating the community so that they can hold people accountable. That can be a pathway. Another pathway can be advocacy, where you are literally serving as an accountability partner for the government or for those agencies where you verify the receipts that are sent, the contract details and all that. There are different angles you can look at it from. Depending on how it is public health as well. You can look at what the Ash did at the beginning. It was going to solve the problem of glasses. What he could have done is maybe he was going to go to school to learn about maybe do optometry, and then from there move on and all of that. But he decided to say, you know what, people should donate their glasses and all that. And then developing and testing. So you have generated an idea, you develop and test. Making the case. Making the case basically means after you have tested it, now you have generated some evidence to show that this will work or this can work if all of these things are happening. So that's where writing comes in, publication, showcasing, and all of that. In delivering and implementing, so taking it full scale, growing and scaling, and then changing systems. So from that little thing you started doing, you can now begin to change systems. Look at Yaga today. Yaga has become a stronghold in Nigeria when it comes to politics and elections, because we basically start by trying to hold political leaders accountable and all that. And today, when you are doing politics or when you are doing an election, Yaga is on the neck, always giving facts the way it is, because they are non-partisan and all that. So they have become a stronghold, instituting some level of system change and all that. Look at what budget is also doing, right? You know about budget? Yeah, budget about all of those things. Basically, making governments more transparent to the people. So there are different expressions of social innovation. We have process innovation, product innovation, service innovation. A product innovation, for instance, can be maybe the drug for, maybe retroviral drugs now for HIV and all that. Maybe they are quite expensive, right? And your product innovation will be, what exactly are the active ingredients in this thing? What other material can I get it from? Maybe locally. How can I extract it and then make that drug available at a very minimal cost? That's a product innovation, right? The simple kits, testing kits for the coronavirus, for instance, where beyond it happening for several, then 48 hours, 72 hours, when you can get a result on the spot. That's also a product innovation. It has increased the efficiency of that process. Process innovation is basically the means of getting it done. How quickly are you getting it done efficiently? And then service, offering service to support the actualization of social problems. Again, we've spoken about all of these things in the process. So social entrepreneurship. So the summary of what we want to talk about here is how do you convert all of these ideas to a money-making factory or a money-making agency. Emmanuel is smiling. Okay, so an entrepreneur basically is there are people who notice the problem and see opportunities and take the initiative to mobilize resources to make new goods and services to create value. Summary, an opportunity and create value, opportunity focus. So basically, you are seeing that problem, but you are able to also now think further to say, beyond solving this problem, how can I also create value for myself from it? And basically, this is just business. So yeah, defining social entrepreneurship. So social entrepreneurship is now saying you have an interest and a passion, right? Monetize your passion. And then you try to solve a social problem. So in identifying this your interest and passion, your goal is not just to make money. You want to solve a problem in the community. Then you now try to solve that social problem. But in the process, you are making profit and reinvesting another social problem. In summary, there's a problem in the public health system. I think about a way of solving that problem. And then how, as I solve that problem, the people who are benefiting from the problem can pay a token. Maybe not necessarily a full scale, not big money, maybe not in the commensurate value that it comes, but they can pay me in a way that I also get value for the solution and to do. And then this is a sort of comparison. So social enterprise or social entrepreneurship, it differs from a pure business and from charity. Charity is what we popularly know as NGO, right? And how do they differ? They differ primarily in focus and how they make money. NGOs basically make money from donations and funds. So you write a proposal, you send it to an organization, they give you money, and you do it. Business, basically from sales of products. But in social entrepreneurship, you can make money both from funding and from the sales of products and services. So for instance, one of our fellows, I will even show some examples subsequently. In charity, you are basically helping the community to solve a problem that they need. Their only goal is to solve the problem. But here is you're trying to create an economic value out of that solution you are providing. So for instance, you are probably maybe doing, look at what Health for All is doing. Maybe create a community primary health center in a way that it is very, like, democratize it, and then just make the community pay just a token for it, maybe as low as 100 naira. That may not be as much as they should pay, but that already helps you to sort of gather resources and then funders support it, and then you meet that. So in doing a social enterprise, you have three considerations: the people, the planet, and the profit. The people, the planet, and the profit. So you consider the solution that improves the lives of people, implement the solution that improves the state of the planet, consider innovative ways to sell your goods and services that will bring profits. Okay, so I was literally going into examples of social social innovation, and then we talk about the social entrepreneurship canvas. So examples, I would just like to use our own examples, right? We have MeetNet. This is a woman who identified a problem in the community. There's something called water icing. How many of us know about it? Called water icing. It grows on the face of. So sometimes you see some water bodies and you see grass growing like this is plant. You don't like you jump. And that thing grows so much and leads to blockage, leads to flooding, pollution, and all that. And what happened? The woman talked about that you need to be converting the water into materials. So she dries, she harvests them, dries them, converts them into like mats, pads. I don't know of the same. One of the directors who converted it into foam pouches and exported it. Generally, that is social innovation. Because you basically try, what we are doing, you are solving the problem of pollution. Again, you are even empowering the women, and you don't need that community to learn that skill. You are empowering them with a skill, and in that process, you are helping them to improve the economy of the nation. How? Using something like waste. There's also somebody called Recycle Point, where she used tires, and she converted them into furniture. And do amazing things, really. We also have, for instance, telemedicine now. I think it's an innovation that has gained significant track record in this corona period, right? For all of these things are basically identifying this problem. And I know that the fact that you are on pharmacies does not necessarily mean you have your, look at now, I was surprised when I had the association of pharmacists from Abdullah disease. One would have thought maybe, but again, your interest will be diverse, and that's fine. And again, it will still be within the public health sector. That's still fine. And we can go on and on over time. Yeah, so I just have pictures here of recycle points, meeting nets, help mom, and all that. So here we're going to do an activity of a social entrepreneurship Canva. I think I'll just once it comes on, you see what the Canva looks like.
They've checked this one too. Yes.
Yeah, so these are examples of social Mama Money, meeting was the person I was speaking about. So this is pair recycling I was speaking about. Converting these tires into furniture like this. Yeah. Household materials. This meeting met, so converting this green thing that you can see on the water into vast like this and all that. Yeah. There's Echo to addressing let's see, help mom birth kits. So just trying to looking at the birth process, which are the most what are the most important things to be used, and then providing that to people. Slow condition. I know there is a city, there is a street, I think in Kigali, Rwanda, where the road is made of plastic. The plastic does not decompose, and then they convert it into bricks and all that. All of these things are social innovations, and they are making money from it, trust me, because for you to do it, you pay. So bringing it all together, this is a social enterprise Canva. So it's simple. For every Canva, the Canva basically, like I said, is a summary of a business plan. It's like a compressed business plan, and it's usually a one-pager. So here is where you start. What's your value proposition? What problem do you want to solve? Simon Sinek would say start with why. Right? What's your why? So it's what value do you want to deliver to the target group? And then after talking about that, you now come back to, so yeah, your mission statement. So your mission statement is what is your unchangeable goal and purpose. So what's that end view? What do you want to see by the time you are done? Right? And how would you do it? What value would you deliver? Then the problem. What are the problems you want to solve? How you want to solve this problem of access to quality education? You want to solve the problem to there's the problem of access to education, problem of quality of education, the problem of And quality of education cannot be divided into several parts. Quality of teachers, the condition of learning, and all of those things. So that happens again. For the key activities, what would you now do? So for instance, if you want to solve the problem of access, you have to do teachers training, you have to do scholarships, you have to do renovations in schools, those activities. Solutions. How will you solve these problems? So I'll solve these problems by some of those activities, right? Part of the solutions can be, I will also be publishing articles addressing these issues subsequently and all that. Key metrics, how would you measure that you are achieving this goal? So by the end of year 1, I want to have impacted maybe 50 schools. By the end of year 2, I want to impact 50. So how do I know that I've impacted 50 schools? Now these 50 schools will now have maybe 50% of their students now pass WAEC on their own, right? To that extent, something of improved quality. Or these students will now maybe go to Cowbell PDA competition and then be one of the best students because we have improved the quality of mathematics. Or these students will now be able to win scholarships to study abroad. That's the way to be, or the number of people. So those are the ways to measure those things. Then beneficiary relationship. How would you have a relationship with the beneficiary? Do you need to have the same physically and you interact with them virtually? You have to create a Facebook group for them and then interact with them and all that. Then the channels. Channels also is it social media, is it traditional media, is it face-to-face, is it phone calls and all that. Beneficiaries, who are these people? And when I'm talking about who are these people, every single thing about them, right? From their age, their gender, to their location, to their culture, to their and all of those things. And you're addressing this. Then key partners. Who would you need in this journey? If you want to probably do a training for people, you probably may not be the educational experts, right? But you maybe recognize there is this person that can facilitate this training. You can work with them. The same way you are doing this seminar, for instance. The leaders identify that, oh, Leap Africa will be a plus to this event. Let's bring them on as a partner, and that works. And then at the end of it, how much will I spend? How much will I need to achieve all of these things above? And then financial sustainability here, in a typical business model Canva, it's called what's the word? It's called profits. It's called profits. So it's saying how will we make money? So are these people going to be paying for the training, or are we going to get somebody to pay on their behalf? Do you understand? Because sometimes the people that you want that needs the solution cannot afford that solution. So are you going to maybe get, so for instance now, I feel like, I guess this one was not paid for instance, right? Maybe that's the question I should know. But my point is, in that partnership, you are able to reduce your cost, others, and then in the ways of financial sustainability, rather than have everybody to pay for this, you know what you can say, I have this organization that is also interested in training young farmers, or even want to have an audience with young farmers. So I say, oh, for you to have that audience, you have to pay this particular amount, and then that solves the problem. So rather than you paying for the training, that organization pays for the training, and then you achieve it. And that's the financial sustainability. And as a wrap up, a bit about financial sustainability. So, like we mentioned, charity is heavily dependent on fundraising. That's writing grants, proposals, and all that. And proposals are very interesting because there are different models, they are different, depending on the organization you're writing to. But typically, you just give a background, you give objectives and all that. But for me, the most effective way to be financially sustainable is to have a model that works. When you have a model that works, you will become it's just like a normal business. When you have a business model that works, you'll be attractive to what? Investors, right? The same way, if you have a business, a social enterprise that works, you'll be attractive to impact investors, you'll be attractive to different people, you'll be attractive to amazing people and all that. And under this, I'll just wrap up with you. Leap has evolved, I would say, Leap Africa has evolved from being, again, an NGO to a social enterprise. And one of the things that has happened over the years, because of the model that we keep working on and we keep improving on, understanding that the problems keep changing, is that we'll be able to develop long-term partnerships, both within and outside the country. And this is the reality of This is something that can happen to anyone, irrespective of how young or how big that person will be. What matters most is what problem do you want to solve? And what is that novel idea? What's the novelty? What's the effectiveness? What's the sustainability in the way you want to solve it? All right, so any questions? Any questions? Thank you. That's Uluwabi.
Yes, thank you very much.
Olamide.
Mr. Olamide. Thank you. That was very, very enlightening and very insightful. So I happen to know it to love Lagos for I actually want to ask now something like that. Okay. How do you make sure that, because to the eye of the public, really look at it, really looks like an issue. Like, okay, we get put together, distribute. Now, at what point was something like that
Enterprise.
like, how do you make money out of it? Because, of course, we are getting food you cannot pay. Is it donation or how do you get it?
Thank you. I can think of several things. So first, I'll use, with your question, I'll use this example of this guy. This guy that does something in Makoko in education. What's his name? Do you know it?
Yes.
Slum to school. Now, Slum to school, what do they do? Basically take children and train them free of charge. But Otto has been able to prove his model significantly to the point that for every domino piece that you buy, they're donating to. Do you understand? Exactly. Now, do you know what happens is by standard, every organization is supposed to be CSR, community, corporate social responsibility, blah blah blah, and all that. Now, once your innovation, when you test your model and it works well, very interestingly, he launched a digital tech hub during this COVID where they had it set up, a massive setup for this thing. I was very impressed. But what happened in that process was it was able to test the impact of what they were doing and how sustainable it was to be able to broadcast such partnership. That's one way, right? Another way is, you know what, it can come to a point where you do a reverse engineering model where, okay, so we have trained people over the years, they are not doing well. They now have the responsibility to invest back into the system and it keeps it sustainable. That's another model. Another model can be that, you know what, even you that you are going through it, just to add some value, pay it okay. Not what is commensurate to the value you are getting, but just pay it okay. That can at least cover the operation costs. So, in all, it depends on the model. So, now coming back to food bank. Food bank is relatively new in this part of the world, in terms of doing that. And I know one of the things he's already doing, he's brokering a lot of international partnerships. Secondly, one of the sustainability models is using is leveraging everything of volunteers so that the cost headers reduces significantly. Imagine all those volunteers on the payroll, you will have crumbled. So the key staff are probably just less than 10 or thereabouts, but the volunteers are in thousands. And simply, every again, all of them like to volunteer, maybe for the fun, for the networking, or something. Look at what he does again, even the volunteer again. You get somewhere like coffee, you go to do a dance session and all that. Even if you don't, you're not interested in macro people. All you're having a way to dance with coffee or something, you go. Do you understand? And all of those things. Again, one of the things he does is you buy a t-shirt, you're becoming a volunteer. And he will tell you that in the process, you are donating a particular percentage of that into the process. So all of these things are, and again, financial sustainability models evolve. There are some things you can't command now based on where you are. You can't go and, for instance, now you start a social media project, you can't go and broker that kind of partnership with Domino's. I'm not telling Domino's that, I have an idea. I like you get this idea. No, you have to have a proof of concept. Do you understand? So, and that's why it always start out, and then you keep evolving. If you don't start, don't forget again, the problems themselves will change. So your organization itself will evolve. I don't think that's it. All right, that's trying to remember your name. I don't remember. There's Miriam here. Miriam. Yeah, I'm ready to have you.
Okay, so I really want to be sure. This monetizing we're talking about, is it that we want to get money for the business, for the enterprise, or we want to get money for ourselves?
Okay, so this is the way it works. Getting money for the business is getting money for yourself. And let me explain. The focus is the business. Why? If you keep the business running, your pay is a dividend, not salary. Do you understand? It's like if you are working in a place. Why do organizations downsize? Because the money that's coming to the organization is not sufficient to cover the cost of the people that they are employed, right? So what happens in that process is when you think sustainability for the business, so you see that the business, you obviously are on the payroll. So the more the business earns, the more in quotes you can earn. You get it? So that's what it works. So when you think about yourself first, you consume the organization before it can sustain itself. Look at the part of the people have been in existence for over 18 years. So the founder is no longer an active, she's just on the board of it. She's not even on the payroll. But the truth is, People Africa is quite sustainable. And that's because she didn't think about herself first. We should have thought about how she was going to make money and just cash out. Yeah? Maybe I'll be with the organization for this. But yeah, does that answer your question? Yeah. Please. Okay.
Okay, so we have people on the Zoom call. So we're not asking questions. So someone asks for your can I get the slides after the
I honestly can't give you the answer now. I have to reach out to my dad. So. Yeah.
Okay. And the second question we have, person asks from Kes, how do we cope with acceptability of our innovation? When there's a new innovation, people usually do not practice immediately, which can be so frustrating. So how can we ensure people accept our innovation, especially at the beginning?
Okay, so the truth is, it's always, in terms of acceptance, there are several ways to it. There are several, going back to my example of the ballpoint, right? You know, a way we would have handled that issue. Sometimes the solution is not the solution. And one of the things I still say and canvas for my organization is, one of the manager that used to be the person that used to be the manager of learning and research and learning organization said, development must be viewed from the lens of the beneficiary. That development must be viewed from the lens of the beneficiary. I'll take you back to the business. Do you know you don't buy a product because it's a nice concept? You buy it to an extent because it meets your needs, or to an extent, it addresses something that is you. So if you think you have a model, an innovation that you know what, it's a killer, it's going to blow, it's going to boom, it's going to and all that, you can soft launch. You may need to adapt, you may need to adjust, you may need to say, you know what, this is where I want it, but these people don't necessarily want it this way. How can I penetrate into them and then move in and then sort of go in? So at the beginning, sometimes your innovation may not make sense to every other person because they can't see what you're saying. But how do you want to speak the language you understand? And then from that point, we're able to adapt or adopt it to that point. So it's always about compromise. It's always about understanding where to be a bit, just be slow rather than just push or forcing your ideas on people. Because again, if you force your ideas on people, you eventually have it just there. Nobody's using the solution, nobody's using the innovation. So again, you failed, you didn't achieve the goal. So that's it. So in that process, just think about how you can compromise, how you can soft launch, how you can, yeah. All right. So as I go, the SIPA conference will be holding on the 2nd and 3rd October. We have about 33 speakers lined up across the world who will be speaking to social entrepreneurship, social innovation from all angles, from health to education to youth and employment and employability and all that. So that will be happening 2nd to 3rd October. This is the link to register. It's free, so there's no payment. It's just about a 2.5-hour event a day. So you can feel free to be a part of it. Yeah, if you follow us on social media, you'll also get more information about that. Thank you very much.